Hi guys, as you may know, with the upcoming summer update, there are going to be 6 new best in slot weapons, 2 for each weapon type. So I thought I would take the time to answer the age-old question of which weapon type is the best, which weapon type I should go for, which character should I buy with which weapon type. So I'm going to try to answer that question for the rankings of the weapon types after the summer update. Now, the test server is technically still ongoing, but based on all of the replies from Tipsoft and how they're approaching the balancing on the new best in slot weapons, I do not expect any changes. If there will be any changes, I will probably take this video down and make another one, but I'm feeling pretty confident that the way the best in slot weapons for knights are right now, that's how they're going to stay. Okay, so that's why I'm feeling confident in making this video. Now, for those of you who don't know, who haven't been following the update, the new best in slot weapons are as such. For sword, you are getting an energy 2-hander, a fire 1-hander. For club, you are getting an earth 2-hander, and death 1-hander. And for axe, you're getting a death 2-hander and a fire 1-hander. Okay, so this is going to be included in this video for all different weapon types. So first things first, let's look on the Excel. So I have listed the 6 elemental weapon types that EKs have more or less in order. Now I've grouped them into 3 buckets, and I think it's pretty difficult to argue that the buckets are incorrect. So basically, ice and energy, in my opinion, are absolutely the 2 best elements for an EK. In 3rd and 4th place we have death and fire, and in 5th and 6th we have physical and earth. Now the rankings, you know, the number 1 and number 2 can arguably switch, the number 3 and number 4 can arguably switch, and number 5 and number 6 can arguably switch as well. But in my opinion, the buckets themselves are pretty accurate. I mean, I think no one's really going to say that fire is better than ice or energy, I think. And no one is really going to say that physical is better than death or fire either. Okay, of course, you know, each weapon type, each elemental type has its place, but in general I try to rank the elemental types by how I see them, you know, what I think is the best, because this will help us to rank the weapon types at the end of the video. Because of course, you know, if you have the best weapon in earth but another weapon type is best in ice and energy, you probably prefer the ice and energy one, right? So it has to be accounted for with regards to how good the elements are. So let's take a look at each element in order. So first of all, we have ice. So currently, as things stand, this is a joint first place by sword and axe, where we have the soul 2-handers, right? You have the soul maimer and or whatever it's called now, soul shredder and the soul eater. This means that in 2nd place we have nothing, and in 3rd place we have club with the 1-handed soul club in ice, which is okay. It's nothing amazing, but it's okay. So in energy, we will now have sword as the best weapon, the new best in slot released with this update. In 2nd place, we have club with the soul maimer. That's the one. This is the energy soul weapon. And in 3rd place, we have axe with the falcon battle axe. Now moving on to death. Now axe will have the best 2-handed weapon. 2nd place will be club with the new best in slot weapon that they get, the 1-handed death one. And the worst one will actually be sword with the 1-handed soul weapon. However, I would make a note here that all of those are very close, okay? You know, all of those 3 weapons are either soul or sanguine, so they are very good, right? So even though sword is the worst here, technically for death, I mean, it's a pretty damn good weapon, right? It's pretty good weapon, 1-handed soul in death or sword. So yeah, just a little note that it's very close. Moving on to fire, sword will actually have the best weapon, so they will have the new 1-handed sanguine weapon, but it also have the eldritch claymore, which is also very good. Now for 2nd and 3rd place, I really struggled to decide. So axe, the best fire weapon for axe will be the new sanguine weapon, while for club you will have the eldritch, whatever it's called, war staff, I think, something like that. And you know, the trade-off here is that you have a slightly stronger weapon in club, but that's 2-handed, while you have the 1-handed axe with that you can wear a shield with. But then you also have the sanguine augments and stuff. So I did end up opting for saying that the 1-handed axe is a little bit better. So the fire club is slightly worse. Now the sword is a number 1 because they have the option of both of those, right? They basically have the one-handed sanguine plus the eldritch two-hander, so sword is obviously the best in fire. Now looking at physical in first place, yet again we have sword with the falcon longsword being the best physical weapon. In second place we have axe. So axe has the eldritch great axe. They technically have the same attack damage, but sword has +1 sword skill and 10% earth resistance, while the axe has 3% cleave, and as we all know the cleave is useless, so it can be basically discounted, hence the sword is a little bit better. And in the last place we have club, which kind of is missing like an amazing physical weapon. They have the umbral, right? That's pretty good, but in general club is probably the worst physical weapon. Now coming on to earth, finally club is starting to shine with the new best in slot 200. In second place we have sword. I don't remember which sword it is, but I know that sword has a pretty good earth weapon. And in the last place we have axe with the lion axe. So yeah, so this is the rankings of each element in my opinion. Now just looking at this, you have sword in first place for 4 out of the 6 categories. It's jointly with axe for the first one. In death, it's in place 3, which is, technically the worst one. But as I was saying, this is very close, right? This worst sword that you have here is actually the soul one-hander death sword, which is very good. It's a very good weapon. So, you could almost just say that these are all like jointly first place, and then you're looking at sword being like first in almost the top 5 categories, and in the last one it's second. So hey, we're getting an idea of what might be the best. But I wanted to sort of qualify it a little bit with actual numbers. Now I was having to think about how to work this out for it to be a little bit reliable or mathematical. So this is arbitrary, what you see here, but this is arbitrary, but I've decided to assign points to each weapon type to sort of measure them up against each other in some way. So the way I'm going to do this is as I mentioned, there's 3 buckets, right? Bucket 1 with ice and energy being the best one, death and fire being the second bucket, and physical and earth being the third bucket. And each weapon type will get an appropriate amount of points the higher they are in each bucket. So for first place in first bucket you'll get 5 points, for second place in first bucket you'll get 4, for third place in first bucket you'll get 3 points, and this will decrease by 1 within each bucket. So in the end, for the first place in the third bucket you'll get 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. Okay? So I'm going to now try and accumulate all of the points for all of the different weapon types, and then we'll see what numbers we get. So for club, let's have a look. So club has third place in the first bucket. So this is going to be a sum of 3 for the first one. Then we will have second place in the second bucket for energy, which will be 4 points. We will then have in the death, we have the middle one. So this is going to be, what do we have? 3 points for second place in group 2, and we will have 2 points for the last place in the second bucket in fire. Then in physical we have the third place for club, which is 1 point, and 3 points for the earth. So when we sum this all up, club gets 16 points using my methodology. Like I said, it's kind of arbitrary, but it's just kind of fun just to see if we can give some numbers to, how I've ranked these weapon types. So in axe, we have 5 points for the first ice weapon, right? We get 5 points for the first bucket, best weapon and best element. Then in energy, we actually have the worst one. Axe is the worst in energy, so we give it 3 points. In death, we have axe as the best one, so we give it 4 points for the first place in the second bucket. And in fire, axe is second, so it gets 3 points for being second in the middle bucket. And finally, in physical, in the third bucket, we have axe in second place, so it gets 2 points. And we have axe as the last one in earth in the last bucket, which gives axe a nice 18 points. Now, looking at sword, we're going to have a sum of 5 points for the first place in ice, 5 points for the energy in the first bucket. We then have just 2 points for the death weapon. Again, arguably could be higher because the death weapon is very close. Like I keep saying, the death weapon is very, very good, even though it's last technically. Then in fire, we have the best fire weapons, so we get 4 points for the first place and second bucket. In the third bucket, we have sword in first place for physical, and in second place for earth. Let's sum that up, we get 21 points total. So going by my little ranking of each weapon type, each element, and ranking them, assigning more points to the more useful elements such as ice and energy, we can pretty clearly see that actually after this update, sword is probably going to be the best weapon type. So if you asked me before the update, I definitely would have ranked this very differently. I think sword would probably be maybe at the bottom, with club and axe being slightly better, whereas now we see sword way ahead of the pack, with club being very behind sword. If you compare club to sword, we are looking at a big difference here. So yeah, that's what I have for you today, guys. I would say that if nothing changes with the test server, sword stonks are definitely going up, club stonks definitely going down, and axe, as always, is kind of somewhere in the middle, reliable. It's still going to be very solid. If axe gets a better energy weapon, then axe is also still very good, right? You see axe in the first place for ice, axe in the first place for death, in the middle for fire. If axe moved, to first or second place in energy, it would be very good. Energy, I guess, is the weakness of axe at the moment, so maybe something for Tipsoft to think about. And also we can see axe is pretty bad with the earth weapon, so spoiler alert, if you ask me what is the next weapon that axe is getting, it's actually going to be a two-handed earth weapon, in my opinion. So let's not laugh at club too much with their two-handed earth best in slot, because axe might just be getting the same in 6 months. Anyway, this is what I have for you today, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think, whether you agree with this new ranking. And as always, this is bound to change. A year from now, this will be mixed. 5 years from now, it will be totally irrelevant. Okay, so just a bit of fun of how I see things going in the next 6 to 12 months. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.